Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League. This is Tier 2, the middle tier of the Equal Performance Leagues, brought to you in partnership with gridfinder.com. We're here for round number 5 at the British Grand Prix, and joining me as always is Bruce Lee Harding. Bruce, how are you tonight?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Yeah, really good. Looking forward to this as usual. Should be quite good. It's been quite a competitive tier this season so far. So yeah, it should be a good race.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously Scotty leads the championship now going into Britain. Followed by Kuipers and Ivan. It's still very, very close at the top. I see Scotty on 31 points, Kuipers on 24, Ivan 21, Lewis on 20. But I think the big news is the constructors, where McLaren are leading constructor right now with the Rudd brothers.
Yeah, I think both Ruddo and Matty Rudd would probably be happy to admit they've not had the best start to the season really so far, but it kind of just shows how competitive and how unpredictable that this league has been so far, in that they're still leading the constructors despite some interesting moments. And obviously you've got just behind them Aston Martin. Joe Hampster's yet to score points this season, I believe. So if he can get on the board, I think the Astons will start taking a fight to McLaren.
Yeah, and obviously if the AlphaTauri is also kicking into gear, they're only 7 behind the Aston Martins. That's Simply, who hasn't scored a point yet either. And Kuipers, if both of them start finishing high up as well, as we know they can do, we do have a tasty fight on our hands. I mean, 3 different winners in 3 races. Obviously, Azerbaijan to be rerun in what would have been the week break. 3 winners, 3 races. Are we going to see a 4th winner today?
I think there's every chance. Silverstone's a bit of a strange circuit. It could be one of those ones where sometimes people are quick at other places and Silverstone's just not their thing. So it'd be interesting to see who sets the pace at the front in qualifying. Whether Scotty can sort of continue his pace, and he's been pretty much in the last race in Austria. Really, he looked set for the win until his mistake on the safety car restart. So he'll be looking to try and bounce back pretty quick.
Yeah, obviously Silverstone, 5.8 kilometers long, is not a small circuit by any means. Very quick. With its 18 turns. Always considered the home of Formula One and British racing. Obviously, the host of the very first F1 race in 1950.
Yeah, I missed that one. I wasn't around for that one, but yeah, no, it's a fantastic circuit, and it's changed layout dramatically from the early days and even from the 90s. Gone are the days of the bridge bend and the chicanes before that. It's a lot different to what it used to be, but it's still nonetheless very, very challenging.
Yeah, as we load into qualifying, and it looks like a dry qualifying, which is good for the drivers. The question is who's going to be the first one to leave the pits. Daryl, unfortunately, saying it was 0 points for Joe's standard. I think a little bit harsh on Daryl there, but not one to mince his words.
I've got the talking of weather. I've got the weather minion reporting in, and it apparently looks like it's going to be a dry race as well as a dry qualifying. So
Okay.
yeah, no mixed conditions to mess up with the race order too much.
So we got a couple of drivers on the way out. That looks like an Alpine. Owen is the first man out. Yeah, it's really weird. So it's got these really fast flowing sections followed by just some really hard braking and tight corners.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging to keep the rhythm going through the lap. Obviously you've got that first complex there, quick approach into it, and then after that it's fairly quick. Obviously you've got Luffield is one of those sort of real patient corners. You've just got to wait and wait and wait to get on the throttle. But the 2 corners for me that stand out in qualifying, especially, are Cops and Stowe. it's very easy to miss the apex by a slight bit, and it can cost you 2 or 3 tenths quite easily.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing we don't really like talking about is track limit penalties, but they're very easy to pick up round here because you're going at such a rate of knots. Turning in 3 meters early can be the difference between a cut track or vice versa. 3 meters too late, going slightly wide out of a corner.
Yeah, definitely. This corner here now, Owen's going through Stowe, especially. You know, if you miss the apex, it's so easy to run wide. It's resisting the temptation then to try and turn the wheel out a little bit more and throw it off the road.
Yeah, do you want to take us on a lap of Silverstone with Owen?
I'll let you do a lap because you're an expert around this place. So.
Through Abbey then, absolutely flat normally, and farm. Then we're coming up towards this hairpin village. Into the loop, again just tight hairpins. On your way out, up through towards Aintree, which is a flat left-hander. DRS open down the Wellington Straight. All the way down towards Brooklands is late apex, almost double left-hander. And then you hit to Luffield. Various lines you can take through Luffield. Owen goes in tight to begin with, and then uses a second apex on the way out. Woodcut flat, and that used to be a chicane back in 1950, I think. All the way up towards Copse Corner, where Verstappen and Hamilton had their incident, shall we say. Just drops a gear for Owen to get the front to bite in. Up towards Maggots, this is the flat left. Down a gear for the right, into Beckett's, down to 6th, into Chapel. Slightly down to 5th to get the car turned in, through Chapel Curve there. Then down the hanger straight, the second of the DRS zones, up towards Stowe Corner. You're going to drop it 2 gears. Let it coast in, pick up the throttle, don't go too wide. And then down towards the Vale chicane, on the brakes, down to 3rd, clip the first curb, short shift to 4th to get the traction for club. 6th gear through club at flat speed, and a 128.6, the first time from Owen.
Yeah, I think simply following behind, I think he set a slightly quicker middle sector. I think he could be on for a good time here. There you go.
Scotty, the next man.
Keza, let Scotty cross, isn't it?
Oh, he's not set a time, so I don't know if he's just on an outlap then.
Okay, yeah, Keza came out and then immediately went back in the pits. I'm not sure what happened there. But,
Pamper and F1 is having a few technical difficulties. Matty Rudd's just coming through Woodcut. Let's see who else is coming around. I think that adds Lucas in the Alfa Romeo through Club Corner. What can he achieve? It's a 127.9. So he's not far off Kuipers there. Oh, I think oh yeah, Russman's in the wall. That's at Farm, just going into Village.
Just going to try and pick up the McLaren here of Ruddo, who's coming out the pits. And yeah, he's buried off the left-hand side there. So I can only assume he's maybe caught the curve on the inside, and it's just it's hooked him up and spat him out.
Yeah, it's definitely had a big moment as Ivan goes quickest. Ivan has a good time for Ivan as Matty Rudd now crosses the line. He goes 10th, a 128.7. Probably not where he wants to be right now, but not a bad banker lap either. Scotty just coming towards the Vale chicane in the Aston Martin. Aston Martins in previous weeks have had good fortune. He's hoping for some more of that fortune himself.
6th quickest for Scotty. So it's a good starting point, really. Obviously, he's probably going to get another 2 runs in. So yeah, he'll be looking to obviously improve on that. But I think that's not too bad.
I think Keza spun at the first corner at Abbey. Luckily, he's not visited the wall. But not an ideal thing for the Haas, even because by the looks of it, that was on a flying lap as well. So certainly not the ideal start for the Haas crew.
Yeah, going back to Matty Rudd, obviously saying he wouldn't be too happy with 11th, but we've seen with Matty recently that he might not necessarily qualify near the front, but his race pace is very good, and he can make the most of a bad situation. Obviously, last race out he finished on the podium, and he started a fair way down the order on that race too. So Yeah, obviously, sort of a lot of room to improve, but I think he'll still be fairly happy to be in the middle of the pack so far.
Yeah, no, absolutely, obviously, and a lot of Silverstones how comfortable we are with the car. Um, and as we saw last night, some people can get away with slightly lower wings, some people prefer higher wings. But at the end of the day, it's all about consistency around any track and race as to whether you can get up that order.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's all well and good being like mega quick, but if you throw it off the road a couple of times, it'll count for nothing. So yeah, that race pace is obviously very, very important. Um, Obviously, you want to get as far up the grid as possible to sort of not only get the jump on everyone, but also to make sure you stay out of trouble early doors. But yeah, a lot can be made up just from consistent race pace.
Yeah, as Rodo comes through Stowe Corner out to the Vale chicane. The McLaren, he's had a bit of a topsy-turvy season so far as Rodo. A few mistakes by himself and a few things he couldn't avoid. It's 8th place, Rodo, 128.2. Not a bad, again, not a bad banking lap. And obviously having that banker lap, so I think Lewis might be the next person to set a time. Having that bank lap just affords you, if you're going to go for 3 runs, it affords that second and third run you can really push the limit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was Ruddick's first run, so I don't know if he's going to have time to get another 2 runs in. He may be trying to think ahead to the race, maybe saving a set of tyres. But yeah, at the moment we're looking at only half a second covering the top 8, so it's all quite nice and tight there. JC Battagle's only 1,000th behind Scotty, so it doesn't take much of an improvement to gain places now.
No, as Lewis goes 9th place, I think the next man will be Ryan in the Ferrari. And, again, Ryan started this season really well. Second place at China, and then it's just didn't quite click at Hungary for him. And Austria wasn't a great race for him, so he'll be looking to kind of turn those sorts of fortunes around as we head through Chapel now and up the Hanger Straight.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's had that good result, as you say, earlier on this season, so we know the ability is there to get those results. And yeah, it's just a matter of time, I'm sure, before he gets back up there.
Through the last couple of corners comes the Ferrari. And it's 9th place, so a good time. Not too far away from Ruddo and Scotty there for Ryan. So that's a good stuff from him. And I think now we're going to have a lot of what was classified as like the main group of cars now starting their second flying laps.
Yeah, it's obviously going to be key here if you're planning on doing a third run is to get this second run done as quickly as possible and get back into the pits, just to make sure you have enough time. Now I think we'll start to see the times tumble a little bit with people taking slightly more risks through corners. So it'll be interesting to see now whether anyone can topple Ivan Beloff off the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to your thing about Matty Rudd making good of a bad situation, him and Ruddo have made up the most places together. Matty Rudd's made 25 places this season so far. Ruddo's gained 16, Owen 15. So that shows you that the McLarens are definitely one to watch regardless of position.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 25 places made up in 3 races. That's quite an achievement so far. And yeah, obviously he'll be looking to. I mean, I'm sure in an ideal world he'd like to be on pole, making up no places, but you know he'll be happy if he can make up an average of 8 places again today, I'm sure.
So Kuiper's coming round to the end of his latest attempt. It's a 1:27.226 on to pole position. Ivan's invalidated his latest attempt. I think Ads Lucas is going faster, but not quite fast enough. So he comes through the last couple of corners.
Keep an eye on him.
Yeah, 1:27.7 for Ads Lucas.
That's some pretty hot pace from Kuipers. That you could almost say that's hotter than an air fryer on steroids.
I mean, that's definitely one way of putting things. And you have to feel that sort of pace. He's going to be sweating buckets. He'll need a towel when he gets back to the garage. But other people, I think Ginger Tiger. We haven't really spoken about Ginger Tiger yet in the Mercedes. He had that podium taken away from him last week, courtesy of a post-race penalty. He's, I think, on I don't know whether he's on an outlap or just abandoned his attempt because he's not using an ERS, that's for certain. Or is it that everyone's now just on their in-laps?
Could be. I think it was quite awkward because I think a lot of people came out at exactly the same time there. So sometimes have tumbled, I can see looking at the charts here, but obviously it was quite difficult to keep up with everyone then.
Yeah, like Kent's on an in-lap. Yeah, lots of people on in-laps. I think you're right, Ruddo's only going to have one more run in this session. In fact, he's now coming out to do that now. So Ruddo is playing the empty track game, isn't he? He's going for the segments where no one else is on track. He doesn't want anyone else out there with him.
Yeah, I mean, some might argue he's just after TV time, to be honest. But yeah, it does help to not have traffic around. It can be off-putting. You know, obviously everyone does their best to get out of the way, but sometimes just that one car in front of you can put you off enough to just miss an apex. And yeah, sometimes it's just nice to have that clear track ahead of you.
Yeah, I think Matty Rudd's coming back into the pits, as is Martin Sunboy. It's good stuff from both Williams, this. 4th and 5th currently on the grid, and separated by literally a 10th, dead on the dot. Yeah, it's something with Williams. I mean, they're 7th in the Constructors' on 14 points. So, I mean, if this pace carries through to the race, they're looking at potentially a nice little bag of points for them to going forward.
Yeah, obviously at this point, like you said, they're in a good position. They'll want to make sure that if they're next to each other in a race, they avoid contact with each other, just sort of get away from the start cleanly, and hopefully then they can push on try and get a bit further up the leaderboard.
So let's go on board with Ruddo. Let's see what he does. Because I think that's Joe Hamster has spun it coming out of the loop just before Aintree there. So that's one way of warming up his tyres as we head into Village and the loop with Ruddo. With that banker, he's going to be able just to push the limits that little bit more, try and carry that little bit of extra pace as we head down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands.
Yeah, slightly up there. We'll be obviously looking for a bit more improvement.
Yeah, through Woodcote up to Copse Corner. Down a gear and maybe just a slight lift to get the front end biting into that corner as we head through the S's of Maggots and Beckett's. Sector 2 line coming up now. Up by 1.5 tenths here. Now I've seen him go up a few places here.
Well, he could be looking at possibly 7th here. If he has a good last sector, he could be looking at top 6 potentially.
Into Vale we go, nicely clipping the apex of the first part and the second part, just opening up the steering. And it's a 1:27.9, so 7th place for Ruddo, but he does get into those 27s.
Yeah, that's good. There's something to build on. You know, he's only just off 6th place there, just misses out on 5th really as well. So, but yeah, obviously a good platform to build on there.
I'm just looking around. I think we've got a yellow flag in sector 1 and 2. I think that's just someone going a little slow. I think we got Joe Hamster might be the next person on a lap. But we've also got Ivan just behind, so I don't know whether you want to keep an eye on Ivan,
I'm
Bruce.
on Ivan. He's currently a 10th up on his best time, so still not enough to get past Kuipers at the moment. He's just coming up to Maggots and Beckett's right now.
Joe Hamster currently now in 15th place, a 1:28.5 so far, and he's down by 1.4 seconds. So he's not using any ERS. I think he's going to go again here, Joe Hamster, so...
Ivan is about 1.5 tenths up at the moment, so again, he's still not enough to get Kuipers, but he will improve his time.
We head through Vale Chicane. Club corner for the final time for Ivan. So 1:27.5, so he does improve, but it's not enough.
So Abs Lucas coming up to line now, but I think again he's someone who's about to have another pop at this. Just coming onto his flying lap now.
1:27.708 that for... Oh, I think that's just his time. It's just popped up that he's already done.
Time, that one. He's definitely on a good crack here at this lap now, so yeah, this is definitely his last attempt.
Scotty's up a couple of tenths here as we head through the final couple of corners. It's a 1:27.5, so third place for the Aston Martin and the championship leader. Simply goes into 8th place. Here comes JC Battle. He's invalidated lap time. Ryan, I think he does improve, but doesn't go anywhere in terms of standings. Who's this coming to the line? I think it's an Alpine. It is Kent. He's 3 tenths up at the moment, which would put him just inside the 28s.
Believe it or not, Ruddo is having another go here. I don't know if he's managed to save enough ERS to be able to do this, but he is having another go. He's just slightly down on his best lap so far.
Ginger Tiger is just coming up to the line now. He goes 6th quickest with a 1:27.9. This is very tight in the midfield here for everyone. I think Joe Hamster will be next. He's invalidated, so he's in the pits.
Ads Lucas is just shy of 2 tenths quicker at the moment, so he could improve here. He could improve.
Through club corner for the Alfa Romeo. It's a 1:27.4 up into 2nd place.
A great effort.
Sunboy up into 5th. I think that's Rudder coming through, although I think he's dived off to the side. Yeah, so
definitely not completed his lap there.
Who else has got to come across the line?
I think everyone is done now. I think that is everyone's either on in laps or
finished under AI. There you go then. So it is going to be Kuipers, who didn't. I don't think he improved on his last lap either. 1:27.226, the pole time. That's he's only a couple of tenths quicker, but that's, considering the rest of the field and how close they are, that is a considerable margin.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great effort from Kuipers really on that second run. He's, when you put in a time that's clearly as good as that, you're quite comfortable really then. Yeah, a great effort. But the other guys ain't that far behind, to be honest. Obviously, I know that it's just shy of 2 tenths as Lucas, but that's not a lot of time. Especially around a place like this, you can hang on to the car in front with all the DRS. So yeah, this could be quite an interesting race. And as you say, the mid pack is very, very, very tight at the moment.
I think what's surprising me a little bit is the 2 Alpines of Owen and Kent down in 17th, 18th. We know they've got more pace than that. Maybe just a weak track for them. But maybe we'll see them come through the field. And, I'll let you take us through the grid order for the British Grand Prix.
Thanks very much. So yeah, Kuipers with a fantastic lap in the AlphaTauri there takes pole from Ads Lucas, who he shares the front row with. Ivan Beloff and Scotty there, 3rd and 4th on the 2nd row. Sunboy and SFR Martin, 5th and 6th. Ginger Tiger and Ruddo, 7th and 8th. Simply 90 and Lewis in 10th. JC Batagor and Ryan, 11th and 12th. Be looking for a slightly better during the race there, I think. Keza, Matty Rudd also 13th and 14th, a bit lower than they probably would hope to be. Joe Hamster 15th, Ricey Spicy 16th, Owen 17th, Kent 18th, and Russman unfortunately not setting a lap time in 19th.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how the start goes. I mean, if anyone watches IndyCar, they'd have seen St. Petersburg, and hopefully we don't get anyone having those sorts of crashes doing jumping over people like tabletops. But only one way to find out. I mean, hopefully we don't see anything like the accident that Joe had last year. I mean, that was quite a spectacle to watch. I mean, obviously good that everyone was okay, but hopefully we don't get that here as we head into Abbey tonight.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's one of those things. I think sometimes when you come up to this first corner, the temptation to go for a move is incredibly large. Sometimes you've got to assess the situation around you and realise, okay, yeah, that ain't going to work. We need to just back out of this a little bit. But obviously, when the red mist is down, it's not as easy as that, and there's not very much time to react. So you've got to kind of make that decision nice and quick. But hopefully, we'll have a fairly clean getaway, and it will just provide a nice, close race for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, and I have seen that Darryl, after reading the stats for Matty and Roddo for positions gained, doesn't want to know his, although, to be honest, Darryl, it's not too bad. You've not technically lost any positions this year in Tier 3. So
technically, he's not lost any positions.
Yeah. I mean, he's gained the same as he's lost this season so far in Tier 3, so he's at a net zero.
That is a mark of consistency, that is, to be honest.
I'm just waiting for, obviously, everyone putting their strategies. Now, strategy a little bit key around Silverstone. I mean, it has looked like in previous seasons that the alternate strategy of hards first, medium second seemed to work. But is there any way that you see the mediums to hards still working? Because obviously you get that breakaway at the start, but the hards almost seem too slow compared to the mediums.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the guys decide to do here. Like you say, it's nice to have that pace with the mediums at the end, but like you say, if you can get away and break that DRS train behind you, it can make a big difference. You know, it's quite easy to be left out in the lurch a little bit. You're sort of, a few seconds behind the car in front and a few seconds with someone behind you, and you just sort of can't catch up, really. So it'd be interesting to see how they go.
So remember, no formation lap. We are in for the 5 red lights, and we are green for the British Grand Prix. And who's going to get the best getaway? Looks like Kuipers has got a decent getaway. We'll look at the times in a minute. Ads Lucas still challenging on the inside. Through Abbey we go, and it's going to be Ads Lucas who leads the way through Farm and up towards Village for the first time. We've got a yellow flag. We've got a McLaren, Red Bull, and a Williams at the back. A spin for a Haas in the background as we go through the loop and Aintree, and I think we have a virtual safety car at the start of this race.
Yeah, I didn't quite see what happened there, unfortunately. I saw the end of it. All I saw was Matty Rudd was spinning, and Ricey Spicy unfortunately had lost a wheel, and Martin was also off to the side. So yeah, not exactly sure how that came about, but I was about to say it looked like a really clean start, just a couple of wide through turn 1, but yeah, unfortunately it all kicked off behind there rather a bit. So yeah, sad to see Ricey Spicy out of the race already, unfortunately, and obviously Matty Rudd and Martin now have a lot of work to do to catch back up.
Yeah, and it looks like a mixed bag of strategy in the tyre front. The top 3 on mediums, 4th to 6th on hards. Owen and Ruddo have gone mediums, with Lewis to Kent on hards. As Lucas picks up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car, and I think Kuipers has picked one up as well.
Just going to quickly check Kuiper's penalty in a minute, while I can. Yeah, both of them have a drive-through penalty, so that's a bit of a disaster for those two, and Scotty will be liking what he sees from his position.
Meanwhile, Ginger Tiger fighting with Owen as we head through Vale Chicane. Oh, big spin. Some boy's gone round at Club Corner. And I think Ivan got caught napping there at the virtual safety car restart because he's been overtaken by Scotty.
Yeah, so Matty Rudd spun again, and we've also got Keza and Joe Hamster both in the pits as well. Just checking now. Keza's just come in for a new set of tyres. No damage repairs. Couldn't quite catch Joe Hamster, so I don't know whether he's had damage repairs. But it didn't seem like they replaced the front wing on Keza, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
I mean, it might be if he's got it set to auto, maybe the game he might have some damage, but the game's just decided that it's not too bad. As I think Russman has gone around. That's Luffield. He's got no front wing, so it's not been a good start for Russman. He made a few positions at the start, obviously avoiding the chaos, but obviously didn't avoid something there. And everyone.
Yeah, also, Martin in front of him has no front wing as well, so I wonder whether they've made contact with each other somewhere along the line there. Very unusual to see two cars in a row there with no front wings.
So as we have this line now forming, I think that's Sunboy potentially off at Beckett's, the end part of Maggots. So Kuipers comes into service drive-through. As Lucas stays out, he's going to have to do that next lap. So Scotty just 2.3 away on the hard tyres as well. So Scotty's in a really good position here as Ruddo all over the back of Ginger Tiger through Abbey.
Yeah, he had a good little nose there. Obviously, it's not really a place you'd expect to overtake, but you can always try and strike the fear into your fellow driver in front. I think Sunboy may have gone round again. Well, he's very much off circuit and he's in the pits now.
Oh, as we got Ivan Belov looking down the inside of Scotty. This is for second and the net race lead down the inside of Brooklands. And I think Scotty didn't fight that too much, probably strategically here to not lose too much time. But Ivan looking quick on the medium compound so far. And he'll be looking to build a gap back to Scotty and Owen. I mean, where has Owen come from? I'm pretty certain he was right at the back at the start of this race. 13 positions he has gained.
13 positions are... I was going to say I think he needs to try harder, but I don't think that's actually the case. That's a great effort from Owen there. And like we said, staying out of trouble at the start of the race, it's amazing what a difference it can make, really, and that's a huge gain there. And
Ruddo down the inside. Yeah, I was going to say down the inside with DRS, but Ginger Tiger with the switchback through Stowe. I'm not sure if that's been completed. No, he has not re-overtaken Ruddo, and that's quite crucial for Ruddo as Scotty... it's Ads Lucas coming into the pits. That's what all the changing is about. That's quite crucial that for Ruddo, because obviously Ginger Tiger on the hard compound, this is going to allow Ruddo to hopefully escape and try and get to Owen, who's having a look at Scotty down the inside of Village.
Yeah, I mean, Scotty's going to want to be in a position here. He's not, and Owen also, they don't want to fight too hard. And that looks like that's not happening, because I think Owen's got much better traction out of the corner there.
Plus DRS for good measure.
DRS, yeah. They don't want to fight too hard, because they don't want... Oh, he's very deep there, though, from Owen. I think Scotty's looking to have a go back. Really good side-by-side race in this.
Still on. The question is, who's going to burn the ERS to stay side-by-side? It looks like Scotty using a bit more as he goes round the outside of Cop's corner. And different coloured cars, but shades and flashbacks almost coming to fruition.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things like there, Scotty definitely had a better entry line there into the corner than Owen would have done, but Owen's coming back now with the DRS, and all the while Ruddo is catching up to both of them here.
Yeah, this is what happens when you fight. I mean, Ivan now 2.2 down the road, still side by side into the Vale chicane, and I think Scotty's just about going to hang on to this one as he squeezes on the exit, taking that line. And this is
definitely starting to look interested now.
Yeah, this is getting frustrating for Owen. He's lost a lot of time sat behind this Aston Martin.
Yeah, I think the thing is, in this situation, this isn't a terrible thing for Scotty, because he's going to have the faster tyres at the end of the race, but for all the guys on mediums now, they're going to want to clear Scotty as quick as they can. But he's doing a stunning job of holding them off.
Yes, here comes Owen with DRS once again. This time he clears him as they go into Brooklands. But again, Scott. It's the natural line because you're tightening up that corner. Here comes Ruddo down the inside of Scotty now.
That's some fantastic racing. I think Ruddo's going to have enough to get past Scotty before Cops, which he does.
Question is now they're all going to be lining up behind Owen to have a go up into Stowe if they all get a good run out of Chapel.
Yeah, now Ginger Tiger and Simply and Ryan and Lewis are all catching up to the back of this train. This is almost a 7-way fight for second here at the moment.
All the while, Ivan 3.4 down the road, as I think that's Keza, his teammate, has spun.
And Ruddo passed Owen now on DRS, so this could change quite a lot, I think. Ruddo will want to try and escape here, but I think the DRS is going to keep the other guys in tow.
Yeah, you're going to end up with this long DRS train where the front of the train swaps, but everyone else behind, unfortunately, will end up staying in formation. I think Ads Lucas is on the back of Matty Rudd whilst this is going on. Not yet in, looking like he's going to make a move. We'll keep an eye on it.
You'd expect Owen to have a good go back now down the straight here with the DRS. Obviously Ruddo with no DRS available, but that's a fair gap that Ruddo's got there to him, so I don't think that's on this lap.
Although Simply did pull out of the train just to have a look at Ginger Tiger and fill the mirrors.
And Ruddo will be happy he's pulled 6/10 here now so far on Owen. He'll be looking really, he wants to try and get another sort of half a second here through Maggots and Beckett's. Is probably quite a big ask to be honest, but he'll want to break that DRS toe as quickly as he can. Very wide from Owen.
Yeah, could mean he's carrying out a little bit more pace though as we head into Maggots and now to Beckett's. Owen had a slightly tighter line through Beckett's, which does open up Chapel, but he's not quite had the traction, I don't think, to capitalise on that line.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he had just a slight wobble there coming out of the last part of the Maggots and Beckett's complex there. It's just sort of hindered him a little bit to get a full run on Ruddo.
Meanwhile, for 11th place, Ads Lucas right behind Matty Rudd. He's going to pull out of the slipstream with the DRS round the outside of Stowe. That is, well, should be job done, although Matty is looking to fight for it. Down towards Vale Chicane. I don't think there's a lot that Matty Rudd can do here, other than now sitting behind, and unfortunately he's got Kuipers behind, so the two fastest men on track right are with Matty Rudd at the moment, but back with this multi-car fight in the front, and that's key for Owen. He's now over a second ahead of Scotty.
Yeah, he's managed to break that DRS 1 second there, so that'll be key for him, as you say, and now he can sort of concentrate on trying to get back past Ruddo. Scotty now, Ginger Tiger and Simply side by side at the moment through Luffield. Right up on the curb there for Ginger Tiger, but all good clean stuff there.
He's got to look out because Ryan is right on his tail. Almost has a little look up towards Cop's corner, but thinks better of it. Probably the right idea there. Yeah, I mean, Owen right on the back of Ruddo through Maggots and Beckett's here. Again, he just doesn't get the exit.
For Ruddo, yeah. Interestingly now, JC Battergall's now starting to join the party at the back of this train.
Yeah, I'm going to have a quick look back to Matty Rudd and Kuipers, because I'm expecting Kuipers to maybe have a look for a move here. Up towards, so he does have a little faint look, but obviously Matty Rudd with that DRS making things a little bit harder for Kuipers at the moment. And JC Battergall, this is bringing him in slightly into play here. He's got medium tyres, which obviously means he's going to be coming into the pits probably in the next four laps-ish. But this is going to enable him just to try and get up the order a little bit, although I don't know how easy that's going to be. As we've seen with the DRS train, it's obviously not so easy, as Owen once again has a little faint look into Brooklands, but once again can't do anything with it.
Yeah, Ryan then through the opening complex there was looking at some alternate lines to try and get a run there on Ginger Tiger. He could get a run now though down to Cops. He's definitely got a better exit out of Luffield.
Side by side then up into the old first corner, and Ryan gets the move done. It's a lovely move from the Ferrari, but how much time does that cost him to Simply? Not enough to warrant no DRS, so that's good stuff from Ryan.
Just dropped outside the 1 second mark though, so
I
depending
think
where the detection line
the
is.
detection is between the left and right of Maggots and Beckett's. So I think he was just inside, which he was. And here comes Lewis. Down the inside. Round goes Lewis.
Little bit of contact there. When he tried to save it, the car started going back the other way by the looks of it. I was about to say it was interesting because Lewis, as he was making that move on Ginger Tiger, I noticed Ryan's car was harvesting as well, so Ryan's used up quite a lot of ERS already. Lewis into the pits.
Yeah, it always looked like for Lewis that the car started understeering midway through the corner, and you saw him kind of almost push Ginger Tiger to the edge of the track. Maybe that just had a little bit of contact with the side pod, which, as we know with the F1 22 game, if you're on the inside and you make contact with the side pod, it's normally the guy on the inside who goes round.
Yeah, new front wing for Lewis in the pits there, so he's obviously got quite a bit of damage there from. I think when he went back round, he got clipped by a car. I didn't see who it was. It might have been Matty, possibly. I'm not sure. Couldn't quite see, but yeah, bit of a shame that was shaping up to be a really, really good battle. But the fight's still on at the front.
Yeah, I see Owen and Rado. The question is, can Owen? It just looks like the car understeers through Beckett's, which means that he can't get on the throttle early enough to get the traction through Chapel onto the hangar straight, and he's just a tenth and a half shy of being able to make that move. As simply down the inside of Scotty through Stowe. Scotty, once again, he is driving the Aston Martin like it's a bus, and it is so wide that he's made this very difficult for people as Kuipers gets past Matty Rudd with the assistance of DRS. Yeah, that Aston Martin is going to become nightmare fuel for most of these drivers looking at the back of it.
Yeah, Scotty's positioning on track is definitely a very high standard, and yeah, he makes things very awkward for people, but in a very, very fair way as well. So obviously Simply's in a good position here, obviously being on the hards. He's going to switch to the mediums, the same as Scotty. So you could say these two could potentially be fighting for that second place still. I think Ivan's looking quite handy right now, but it will be interesting to see how it plays out when everyone goes to hards, because obviously around this circuit the grip is fairly limited in places, so it's very easy to make a mistake on those hards.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to be more interesting is when does Scotty pit compared to Simply, because you feel Scotty's tyres are going to be in better shape being in that clean air. I mean, whilst you can follow with these cars very closely, you still get that little bit of dirty air, which will make the tyres wear a little bit higher if you're behind someone. And I wonder if this is what Owen's finding at the moment, is that maybe the fronts are starting to suffer a little bit because he's been so much dirty air.
Yeah, Owen just shaping there to have a little look at Ruddo, but just changed his mind last minute. Yeah, definitely. It's hard to know sometimes whether the undercut or overcut is going to work. Obviously, the overcut, you do tend to come out ahead of the car you're racing with, due to them getting their tyres up to speed, but then you've got the punishment of the next lap or so trying to get yours up to speed as well, so it might give you track position, but sometimes it can be very brief.
Meanwhile, Simply has managed to overtake Scotty down the hangar straight, but Scotty's sticking with him for now. Scotty has said that this is a weak track of his, so he's just looking to get some points on the board, which is very much championship mentality, as here comes Owen to the inside for Brooklands. And once again, he goes a little bit deep as per the line, and Ruddo looking around the outside of Luffield. The McLaren looking to get the traction, but can't quite hang it around the outside, and Owen gets the move done, all whilst Ivan continues to pull away at the front.
Yeah, Ivan, obviously, he'll be happy to see this gap grow, but it's not growing at an exponential rate. It's a few tenths here, a few tenths there. So even though these guys are battling, they're still not that far behind him, really, to be honest. I would say Simply 90 is looking in a very, very good position at the moment for this race.
And Ruddo with DRS can't quite do anything about Owen into Stowe. So So that position will stay as it is at the moment. Although he's going to have a look coming up towards the Vale chicane. I say that Owen dives into the pits. So the first pit stop of the night.
Trundling down to about what feels like 3 miles an hour at Silverstone. It's much slower pit entry than most circuits on the calendar.
Yeah, 37 miles an hour the limit here at Silverstone. And the worst part is actually getting it slowed down as Lucas finds out as he picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in that pit lane.
The key thing here...
Has that Joe Hamster off at the Chapel Curve?
There is a rogue hamster off at Chapel Curve, yes. He's just trundling back through the grass to rejoin now. And yeah, he's dropped quite a few places now, unfortunately, from that one.
Coming out, you found a wild Joe Hamster in the grass. Joe Hamster.
Owen has come out of the pits into very, very clean air. He's got a 10-second gap to Matty Rudd in front of him. So yeah, he'll be pumping in some good lap times now. I'd be interested to see if Ruddo will hit at the end of this lap or if he'll just continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because obviously Owen's gone in on lap 11. So 15, he's got to do 15 laps on the hards, which is basically, I think, the base strategy the game gives you. So I wonder if Ruddo's going to go for that lap longer, just to, I think he's going even further. Yeah, Ruddo's not yet pitted.
Ivan in the pits, Ruddo's still going. I have noticed that I think simply now on these hards that we're sort of at that crossover point where the hards and mediums are a very similar pace now. Ginger Tiger also in. He's on hard, so he must be switching to the mediums now. He feels he can get all the way to the end of this race on those at a decent pace.
Yeah, I see Ivan just coming to the pit exit. Still focusing on this little battle for second place at the moment. Looks like Scotty almost trying to use simply as we've got a car off. There's Martin at Stowe.
Yeah, he's lost it to the inside there, unfortunately. And he's going again.
Meanwhile, a very tight pit exit there for JC Battigal and Ginger Tiger. JC Battigal up into 10th place past Ginger Tiger. I think he was behind Ginger Tiger before the pit stops. So that undercut for JC Battigal has worked a treat.
Yeah, you'd expect Ginger Tiger to come back at him soon with the slightly better tyre. So how long JC Battigal can stay in front of Ginger Tiger remains to be seen, but yeah, it's always good to make up that place on the pit stops. And if he can get some warmth in his tyres, maybe he can start catching Owen possibly. I mean, that shows how well JC Battical's going, really, is that he's not that far behind Owen.
Yeah, Simply now is the latest of the 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as Ruddo, Simply and Scotty all pit. Ryan continues on. Lap 14 for Ryan as he leads this race. Kent also continuing. Martin now has a 3-second time penalty for track infringements. Kuiper's in the pits. So where's Matty Rudd's going to go up to third place here. And obviously it's only temporary whilst everyone else is in the pit lane. But Ivan in that net P1 at the moment. Ruddo's back out net P2. Owen right on his tail. So it looks like the overcuts worked there for Ruddo.
Well, interestingly, Ruddo looking at a yellow flag, but nothing seems to be doing. Ruddo's he pulled some time out of Ivan Belov there in the pit.
Owen down the inside of Ruddo. Into Brooklands once again. And Ruddo can't come back at that one. Obviously, still trying to get those tyres up to temperature. And that really shows you the difference between warm tyres and cold tyres.
Yeah, definitely. I think as long as Ruddo can stay inside the DRS 1 second here, then he should be okay to resume the battle with Owen. I feel this is a battle that's going to keep going to the end of the race. I don't think it's ever going to stop.
Meanwhile, SFR Martin and Lewis, sorry Bruce, SFR Martin and Lewis going side by side through Brooklands and Luffield. Lewis looks to have the better run as Kent the latest to get a 5-second penalty for speeding. Lewis overtakes before Cop's corner. Job done for the Red Bull. And I think Ruddo is right on the tail. And side by side between Ginger Tiger, JC Pascal, as we expected. Ginger Tiger coming back at the Ferrari around the outside of Vale, and job done through the chicane. That's quite a good move actually through the outside of Vale chicane.
Yeah, and he's positioned his car really well there to make sure that JC Pascal couldn't get a switch back on him as well. So yeah, obviously the guys on the mediums here will be looking to try and catch up with the guys on the hards now. So Scotty will be hoping to catch Ruddo very, very quickly. The interesting thing here, really, from a team perspective as well now, is with Matty Rudd not having a very good start to the race after that turn 1 incident, does he just continue on and just try and hold up the guys behind to give his teammate a chance to catch up?
There's every chance that is possible, but I mean, I guess for Matty Rudd, if he decides to go long, which is plausible on the hards, you might be looking to go to soft or looking for a potential safety car, although it looks like with the battles we've got at the moment, a safety car is not looking as a likely thing to rely on at the moment.
Ryan's now in the pits. It'd be interesting to see where he comes out here.
As here comes Ruddo down the inside of Owen with DRS up towards Stowe, and job done for that McLaren move. 5.4 the gap to Ivan.
Yeah, it has grown a little bit, hasn't it, the last lap or two?
Makes you wonder if these two have now settled for second place, and this is now their fight to the end. Almost thinking that Ivan's a little bit too out of reach as Ruddo goes a little bit wide through Abbey, and it's just letting Owen have a little sniff at this second place. And look who's looking in the background is Scotty, as here comes Owen round the outside of the McLaren. Should have DRS. The question is, we haven't seen Owen go around the outside of Brooklands yet. Can he make a move stick?
He's definitely been out that wide, but not, yeah, this time obviously Ruddo there. Give him the old shut of the door there. All fair and square. This is going to resume down Hangar Straight very, very quickly, I think.
Yeah, probably Owen's going to be looking in his rear view mirrors very shortly, because Aston Martin of Scotty is definitely gaining on this pair. The fighting is certainly costing them, and potentially could be costing them podium positions if this continues.
Yeah, as you say, simply Ginger Tiger and Ryan is almost now in this train as well, in the DRS train. So the DRS train we had a while back, as Matty Rudd now comes into the pit, so no chance of team orders and holding people up there. Yeah, the big train we had has resumed.
Yes, and tyres reversed. They go through the first corner for the 17th time, and we are back. Everyone's made their pit stops, so this is the genuine running order. Matty Rudd, where is he going to come out? I think he's going to come out behind Ads Lucas and Kuipers in 12th. I think he's got a big enough gap to go ahead of Lewis, who's on fairly old mediums at this point after he pitted early.
Lewis picks up a 3-second penalty. Yeah, I think Matty now really, he'll be looking at this thinking possibly the best he could get now is 10th. Now he's on the slightly better compound tyre to Kuipers and Ads Lucas, but you know, Ads Lucas and Kuipers both starting on the front row of the grid, down in 10th and 11th after those drive-through penalties. It'll be interesting to see what they say about that after the race, but yeah, both unfortunate to pick up those penalties. Otherwise, they could have been adding a little bit more spice to this battle up front.
No, and a slight mistake from Owen allows Scotty through. A slight loss of traction for the Alpine, and Scotty doesn't need a second invitation to take that away, as Keza, I think, had retired in the pits.
Yes, I believe you're right. Unfortunately, it does seem like Keza has thrown the towel in, unfortunately.
As Kuipers Kuipers has made the move on Ads Lucas. They're going to be side by side out down towards Vale Chicane. This for the last points paying position. And this is what Matty Rudd is going to enjoy seeing this. As they go through Club Corner, that's very interesting. And Ads Lucas deciding better of it in the end. But yeah, that's what Matty Rudd is looking to see and wants to see. As Lucas still not finished with Kuipers as they head up towards Farm and Village.
There's a slight bit of contact there through the chicane, but nothing too dramatic. We've sort of all settled out now at the front. There's sort of obviously Ruddo's under attack with no DRS in front to help him, but everyone seems to be about half a second behind the next person. So JC Battle's just slightly dropped off the back of the train here, so he's without DRS. Yeah, we're still looking at a 7-car battle here for second place. Or a 6-car battle, rather.
Yeah, as Lucas gets past Kuipers, and the gap to Matty Rudd now down to 2, as I think simply an Owen side by side. Scotty up to second.
Of Ruddo. Yeah, standard DRS overtake there, not a lot really Ruddo could do about it there. He'll just look to now try and hang on to the back of Scotty. But it's going to be tricky with Scotty on those medium tyres, I think. There's every chance he could check out a bit.
If you're Ruddo and Owen, you're basically looking now towards the last 3 laps of this race, where the hards should start to come good against the mediums.
Yeah, they will come back. A lot is now to do with how they hold up, really, time-wise, to the sort of mediums in front. You can see the traction that Scotty's got so much better than the hard tyres there. There's not really a lot Ruddo can do. The DRS is keeping him in touch just about.
Ginger Tiger had a little look down to Brooklands, and I'm not quite sure. I mean, I understand that it could provoke a mistake, but at this sort of level, we don't really see that off-putting mistake, and it's almost compromised Ginger to the point that not JC Pascal, Ryan is now down the inside, going up towards Copse Corner.
Yeah, Ryan's the man on the move at the moment. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, so he's looking pretty feisty right now. I think he can smell a podium, or he could smell a podium until he picked up a 3-second penalty. But you never know. Yeah,
not ideal then for Ryan. Just a little bit too quick through a corner or 3. Simply behind Ruddo. Ruddo's doing a good job of sticking with Scotty here on the hards. Enough that simply can't really do a lot down the DRS straights.
Yeah, I mean, Simply's biggest issue here is his penalties are 5-second penalties, so that's going to drop him a fair way back down the order at the end of this race. Obviously, there's no way he's going to be taking that penalty in the pits now, so this is just going to get added to his race time at the end. He's going to really have to get past and check out, but I just don't think there's enough time left in the race for him to do that.
And especially as those mediums towards the end of this race get more and more worn out.
Yeah, quite a few 5-second penalties on the leaderboard. They're actually outdoing the 3-second penalties almost, I think. We have more 5 seconds than 3 seconds at the moment, which is unusual, but yeah, it could shake up the order a little bit here, I think, as you say, because everyone's so close to try and gap now that those penalty seconds is going to be very, very difficult.
Russman in the pits onto a set of softs, so he's looking to take away the fastest lap point from Ryan at this moment in time. Obviously, he won't get it because he's not in the top 10. But you just see how close Ryan is all over the back of Owen, through Beckett's, through Chappell, switching left and right, alongside with the DRS, bit of ERS. Here comes Ginger Tiger as well. 3 wide.
Both of them. No, he can't.
I think that was our first moment of 3 wide for the race, other than probably the race start. But Owen just slipping backwards now. See, he was the earliest pitter on these hard tyres. He was the first man to pit, and I wonder if that might come to haunt him come the end of this race by making them stretch so long.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, it was Owen who made up all the places at the start of the race. He's just finding with the guys on the mediums around him, it's just a little bit too much to try and hold on. As you say, with the likes of Ruddo, they'll be now hoping to just try and get the best of the last few laps really, and see if they can make one or two places back up. But yeah, possibly up against it a little bit now at this stage of the race.
So as we come towards the closing stages of this Invictus Racing League Tier 2 race in partnership with Gridfinder.com, this is the British Grand Prix. If you have just joined, welcome. There's been no safety cars, no brakes, but a constant fight for this second position. Ivan hasn't had much TV time. Sponsors of the Haas team probably not too happy he's not getting on telly right now. But this is where the fight is for second place, because Ivan's checked out. And you get the sense that this crossover period isn't too far away between these two tyres, because Ruddo is not losing as much time as he was.
Yeah, as you say, we do promise Ivan is still out there somewhere, but yeah, Ruddo, this gap has remained stable about half a second now for the last two laps. So I think you're right. I think we are about to see that crossover period, and you'd have to think maybe lap 24 is when the mediums are going to start dropping off a little bit, and the hards could actually be quite handy.
I mean, I kind of feel that Ryan's in the best position here. I mean, he went 2 laps longer on his hard stint, so his mediums have only done 6 laps to this point in time. You have to feel he's in the best position, other than having a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, that penalty is going to be a massive hindrance, and at the moment, as it stands, I think he would still stay 6th just about, but it's very close to being 7th or possibly even 8th. So all he can do really here is just carry on as though he hasn't got a 3-second penalty, and just try and gap the guys behind.
So we'll watch him up the hanger straight. Ruddo. I mean, it's a nice position really for Ruddo to be in right now, because if he does lose the place to Simply or Ryan, he doesn't necessarily have to fight to get it back. But the issue is obviously Ginger Tiger will be very much trying to hunt him down as he heads into the Vale chicane. And JC Batticle's now on the back of Owen. Owen's really struggled on these hard compound tyres.
Yeah, I think some people like them, some people don't like them, and like I say, Silverstone, it's such a low grip circuit in places that if you're just not in that groove, it can cost you a lot of time. And yeah, Owen sadly is dropping off a little bit. JC Batticle's now right on him. Yeah, he'll still score good points, which is the main thing, but obviously being where he was earlier on in the race, he'd have liked to have been a bit further up, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, his teammate Kent, he's in 9th at the moment, but he does have time penalties to be added. So I think Kent's going to end up outside the points paying positions here. So not ideal for him in this championship. But Ruddo gradually closing this gap now. Is down to 3/4 tenths. So you head through Maggots and Beckett's. I think that crossover period is now. This is when they're equal, and I think in the next 2 laps, the hards are going to be the better tyre.
I don't think Ruddo's going to get enough of a run on this lap, but yeah, like I say, like you say, even I think the next lap could be when we see it changing, as JC Battigle does get past Owen into Stowe.
Yeah, you feel that move was kind of inevitable. Even though these two came on the same lap.
Yeah, Kuiper's passed Kent as well there, up to 9th. So he's trying to make the best of a recovery drive as he possibly can. But I think now 9th, he's 9 seconds behind the next car. I think that's about where he's going to get, to be honest.
Yeah, Owen almost into the back of JC Battigle, into Village and into the loop. Yeah, I mean, he's been a good ride really from Kuipers and Ads Lucas. I mean, obviously Ads Lucas has got time penalties as well, which isn't going to help him. I mean, at the moment, Matty Rudd is looking at possible points. I don't know. I think Ads Lucas has got a 5-second penalty. Not quite sure what Kent has got. But Matty Rudd not looking too bad, and I don't know what's happened here, but Scotty's managed to pull out 9/10 over on Ruddo here, the gap. So I wonder if Scotty's maybe saved some ERS and has started to burn it just to get himself a bit of a gap for the end of this race.
Yeah, I was just beginning to wonder the same thing, to be honest. It does look like that's the case. Ruddo's still just clinging on there to the DRS, but yeah, Kent has an 8-second penalty. So yeah, at the moment, Matty Rudd is going to score points after that 2-1 incident.
And news from the pit lane, Keza apparently sustained major floor damage after being hit on lap 1, which would explain the spinning and the eventual retirement. Big shame that for Keza, because obviously once you get that floor damage, the car is pretty much undrivable.
Yeah, they can get a little bit loose. It's always as bad as when you've got rear wing damage, to be honest. So yeah, you can always try and soldier on, but to be honest, sometimes you just know it's not going to happen, and you're better off just pulling over and enjoying the race instead.
So lap 25, the penultimate lap, Ivan leads. And just to show he is here, there he is, in the Haas. Going through Woodcut. Scotty in second. That gap now down to half a second, so I think we are correct in the basis that Scotty burnt a lot of ERS to try and gap Ruddo and get outside of that 1 second. But it's not quite worked for the Aston Martin.
Yeah, Ruddo's still looking at the back of that gearbox there. Interesting to see if we can get a run here now out of Maggots and Beckett's. I think possibly a little bit too far behind again. This could come down to a bit of a last lap showdown here, I think. I mean, which position would you want to be in coming down Hanger Straight? Would you want to be in second or third?
I think I'd want to be the person with the most DRS, and we don't know who that is. So I think that's... I mean, we kind of come back to most races, the ERS. It's so powerful on this year's game that you can just about defend from someone if they have less ERS than you, even if they have DRS. It's going to make it interesting, though, for this final lap. And I'm hoping that they get to Stowe Corner before Ivan crosses the line, because we don't really want to take our eyes off this battle.
I think we should be alright with only a 4-second gap from Scotty to Ivan. So, yeah, I think, excuse me, we'll definitely catch all of this battle. Ruddo's looking very aggressive now. He's attacking all the corners.
Riding on board then with the McLaren. Through Woodcut we go, up towards Copse Corner. And you fear that Scotty doesn't have much to defend with. As we go through Copse, Ruddo just being a little bit calm as we head through the Beckett's complex. Question is, he drops a little bit back, throttle on. He's 4/10 behind, DRS open.
Closer. Scotty is harvesting, so he's got to run.
Down the inside, and Ruddo up into second, but here comes Scotty. He switches it back down towards Vale Chicane. Still side by side. Ivan will cross the line to win the British Grand Prix, but Scotty is going to hold on just about for second place from Ruddo. Simply will cross the line fourth, but it's going to be Ryan fourth, Simply fifth. JC Batagul gets sixth at the end there, as I think Ginger Tiger had a moment. Owen seventh, Ginger Tiger eighth. Kuipers will come home for ninth. A great recovery drive from the AlphaTauri. Ads Lucas will cross the line 10th, Kent 11th. Matty Rudd gets into the points, 10th place for him after the penalties for Ads Lucas and Kent. SFR Martin will come home 13th pending on his penalties. Lewis 14th, Russman 15th. Joe Hamster has already finished in 16th place, but that was one hell of a showdown for second place.
Yeah, it was very close. It looked like Ruddo had it there for a second, and Scotty just held his nerve, came back, stuck it round the outside of the Vale Chicane. It was a fantastic effort, and very much shut the door on Ruddo. Ruddo, strangely enough, picking up a 3-second penalty on the last corner there, but there wasn't a lot he could do about it because there was a car on his inside, but luckily it hasn't affected the result anyway. He remains third on screen, so yeah, fantastic battle and really, really clean racing there throughout, pretty much, between those guys at the front.
Yeah, and Lewis at the end of the race picking up the fastest lap, so he won't get the point, but he's taken it off of someone. I think that was probably Kuiper's at the time. Owen driver of the day, and I'm not surprised at that call. He drove through the field. It's just a shame that he just couldn't get those hard tyres to work right at the end of that race.
Yeah, I think he could be pleased with his work, to be honest. He did a great job of keeping it clean at the start, making up lots of places. And yeah, as you say, just a shame really the hard tyres just didn't work for him.
And I'm just wondering, is that Ruddo's first podium of the season? I think it might be.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a mixed start to the year. Yeah, a couple of incidents have held him back, but yeah, I'm sure he'll be pleased with that result, to be honest. He's shown the pace, so yeah, he's definitely capable of getting a few more podiums as the season goes on, I think.
Absolutely. I'm just going to go through the race order. So Ivan Belov wins the British Grand Prix, followed by Scotty in second, Ruddo third, Ryan in fourth, Simply fifth, JC Batagul sixth, Owen finished seventh. He started 17th. That's a great boatload of positions gained for him. Excuse me. Ginger Tiger 8th, Kuiper's 9th, Matty Rudd 10th. Another 4 to add to his tally. 11th for Ads Lucas, 12th for Kent, 13th for Martin, Lewis in 14th, Russman 15th, Joe Hamster 16th, Keza, Sunboy and Ricey all unfortunately retiring from this race. We're just going to get the drivers into the commentary box for some interviews. And yeah, I think we have Ivan. We're just going to wait for Ruddy to come in. As you can hear, Ivan in the press conference already. But yeah, Lewis taking the fastest lap at the end. I think someone else actually had it, but it's quite impressive from Lewis as we have Ruddo in now. Unfortunately, we won't have Scotty in the party. I think we're going to try and get him in for future races, another because he is obviously on the PC platforms. But we do have Ivan and Ruddo. Good evening to you both. Ivan, we'll start with yourself. I mean, generally speaking, from a spectating point of view, quite a boring race for you because you led from the start. Didn't obviously apart from it was helpful because of Kuipers and Naz Lucas picking up those drive-through penalties, but once they were served, you didn't really have any challenges after that. I mean, it must have been quite a nice drive by yourself.
Hello, yeah, that's true. A little bit boring race, but I'm glad. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what were you thinking when you saw the gap between yourself and the likes of Scotty, Ruddo, Owen just growing and growing? Did you think maybe they might start to work together, like try leapfrogging each other in the DRS to try and start catching you, or what was your thought patterns there?
I did a mistake after the restart when there was VC. I was around 0 delta and had to brake a little bit, and then Scotty overtook me and the other driver on hards. And then I was lucky to take Scotty as soon as possible, and then I just thought about creating a gap and try to manage it.
No, absolutely. Bruce, do you have any questions for Ivan?
Yeah, obviously, what Jordan was saying there, where you had that gap at the front and it was quite a consistent gap. How hard do you find it concentration wise to keep pumping in the laps just to make sure that gap stays big? Because it can be quite easy to switch off, can't it?
Yeah, that's true. That's the issue. You have to be concentrated every lap, and you have to think about it. And yeah, that was hard to stay concentrated.
Absolutely. But congratulations, Ivan. It's a win for you. Your first win of the season and our fourth different winner, which obviously will help yourself in the Drivers' Championship. Ruddo, we come to you. Obviously, third on the road. Your first podium this season. So congratulations for that one. But, I mean, what a battle. I mean, did it feel half as spectacular as what it looked like from the outside?
Probably not as what it looked from the outside, because I was just sort of managing it. I was hoping that my tyres would come back, and I was saving a bit of ERS on Scotty, but he was just basically pulling me down the straights. I knew that the people behind had penalties, so I was like, right, well, let's just keep it until the last sort of 2 or 3 laps to make an attack. And yeah, had a go, but didn't quite come off. I was very conscious that we were second and third, and to make sure that I left enough room from those last sort of 3-4 corners.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously your strategy going obviously medium to hard. Obviously the hards came back to you at the end, but what was kind of your thoughts when you and Owen were battling with each other for so long? Do you feel that you two could have potentially utilised the mediums a little bit more at the beginning to maybe try and gap the likes of Scotty behind you, who you knew were going to be on the mediums at the end compared to your hards?
Yeah, I was trying to work with Owen, and I think we did for a few laps. I think I had quite a low downforce. Learnt my lesson from last week, so went a little bit lower downforce, and which meant that I was just dragging him along the straights. But then we started battling on the lap he pitted, and it cost us maybe a second. But I just wanted to stretch my mediums out as long as I could, and Matty said that Ivan had come out behind him and was just managing the gap. So I just thought I could just slot in there, and it worked all right.
Absolutely. Bruce, any questions for Ruddo?
Yeah. When Scotty got past you there initially, sort of towards sort of around sort of lap I think it was 18, 19. Were you worried that he was going to sort of take off a little bit and it would be hard to keep up with him, or did you just sort of know the hards would give you a chance to get back in that fight? And also another question: was there a temptation to say to Matty when he was ahead of Ivan briefly, for him to just sort of try and back everyone up a little bit to bring you back into the fight for a win?
So first question around Scotty, like when Scotty went past, I thought, right, if I can just hang on to the back of him and him pull me along with DRS, and I can save my ERS, I thought it'd be all right. So the last, those sort of 6-7 laps, I was pretty comfortable. I made one mistake and nearly lost the DRS, so I had to use a bit of DRS to catch back up, but I was relatively comfortable, and to be honest with you, I thought, I would have been happy with third. Second question was around getting Matty to hold up Ivan. Not really. They were on different strategies. I did mention to Matt that don't make it easy, but it wasn't his race, and I don't want to upset Matty's race as well. So it was good. It was a good race. I think it's good points. I think after last week, I was determined to sort of come back with a good result. So hopefully on the way up, really.
Well, congratulations for third place, and obviously a good result for you guys in the McLarens who were leading the championship coming into this race for the constructors. We do have a small write-up from Scotty, so congratulations to Scotty for second place. I know he's not here, but we'll congratulate him anyway. He did say difficult race. He had throttle issues from the start with it bouncing his throttle whenever he went off of it. So I guess a bit of a sticky pedal situation. Tried to make his car as wide as possible. I think I heard a double-decker bus was probably the best adjective for that one. Holding off the medium runners in the first stint was crucial for him for the podium. An intense last lap with Ruddo. He just congratulate the rest of the podium and says onwards to Monaco, which, Bruce, is going to be considerably interesting. Very much no margin for error.
Yeah, it's a completely different animal to Silverstone, as we know. The walls are very, very close and very easy to make one small mistake, but with massive repercussions. So, yeah, I think some of the guys will be practicing quite hard for Monaco. Just trying to get into a rhythm rein there is quite important. And yeah, I was looking forward to that one. It could be fairly chaotic, I think.
Absolutely. But from us here at the Tier 2 for Invictus Racing League, that is all we have time for. Obviously, stay tuned this week. We have more racing action. Tomorrow we have Tier 1 from Britain. That is presented to you by myself and Weatho. And on Thursday we do have the Realistic Performance League from Britain, presented to you by Malc and Tim, both 8 o'clock in the evening. But from here, the Invictus Racing League Tier 2 in partnership with gridfinding.com at Great Britain. It was a win for Ivan, Scotty second, Ruddo third. Thank you all for watching tonight, and we hope to see you next week for more Tier 2 racing.